Hey everybody, welcome back to Bearcat Update. Today, I'll be updating you on how the seasons are looking for our fall sports. From getting to know a promising young Bearcat to an exclusive athletic achievement, we've got a lot to cover. So let's get right into it. On Thursday, both the men's and women's cross-country teams received national rankings, with the men improving to number 7 and the women moving to number 21. Both are top 5 ranked teams in the Central region, with the men's team sitting at number 1. We'll have more on them in the coming weeks. But speaking of ranked teams, earlier this week, the women's soccer team earned its first top 25 ranking in program history. The Bearcats had a 4-match win streak going into their game on Friday against the number 9 ranked University of Central Missouri. But they would come up short by a score of 2-1. Despite making several crucial saves, the strong defensive effort from goalkeeper Lily Ellis wasn't quite enough to hold off that aggressive UCM offense. Looking to bounce back, the Bearcats faced off against Rogers State, where they were able to get the 1-0 win. The lone goal came from sophomore Lily Shaw around the 45th minute of the first half. The Bearcats moved to 6-0 all-time against the Hillcats and now sit at 7-3 on the season. Looking to build off this momentum against Fort Hays State on Friday, our reporter Rayna has more on the soccer team.
This is Rayna Wozniak with Bearcat Update, and today we'll be talking about our new named MIAA player. The atmosphere around the Bearcats has been electric this past week, as one player has truly set herself apart in the world of college soccer. With an impressive performance that's caught attention across the MIAA, Margaret Madden has been named Player of the Week. It's a moment of recognition that speaks volumes about her dedication and passion for the game. When Madden first heard she was named MIAA Player of the Week, she was a mix of humbled and excited. Like most great athletes, her first instinct was to deflect the attention, choosing instead to highlight the importance of her team's collective effort. But behind that modesty lies the story of a player whose hard work and growth are undeniable. The game that secured her with this honor was a thrilling display of both individual brilliance and team collaboration. It was a game where every touch seemed purposeful, every pass was counted, and every challenge was met with a sense of focus and precision. That play, symbolic of her growth and understanding of the game, turned out to be a game changer. While the goal and assists were important, what truly made her shine was her leadership, both on and off the field. In a sport as dynamic as soccer, it's easy for individuals to get lost in the moment. But Madden has learned how to command on the field, how to rally her teammates, and how to stay calm under pressure. Her coaches and teammates have witnessed this growth firsthand. The Bearcats have put up an impressive 6-2 record while each player has contributed. She knows her role has been key. Looking back on her journey, Margaret reflects on the lessons she has learned. To younger players and aspiring athletes, she advises them to trust the process. Mistakes are part of growth, and consistency and hard work will eventually pay off. Most importantly, she emphasizes that mental preparation is as crucial as physical fitness. As the rest of the season, Madden remains focused on one thing: winning. The individual recognitions are great, but the ultimate goal is to help our Cats reach new heights, particularly in the postseason. With a few key games on the horizon, a highly anticipated game match against the rivals UCM, and it's more determined than ever to contribute to the team's success. In the end, she is a testament to what happens with talent, hard work, and modesty that comes together. The MIAA Player of the Week is just the beginning. With the rest of the season ahead, it's clear that she's ready to lead the Bearcats to even greater success. From everyone here, congratulations to Margaret Madden, a player who's truly earned this moment of recognition and one who's composed even more greatness in the future. This has been Rayna Wozniak with Bearcat Update. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Rayna. The volleyball team faced a difficult away schedule this weekend, dropping close matches against Central Oklahoma and Arkansas Fort Smith, both by 5-set decisions. On Friday, the Bearcats took on a top 5 ranked UCO squad, winning sets 3 and 4 before falling 15-13 in the 5th. Cassidy Mowinkle led the way with a season-high 17 kills and 20 digs, while Ella Caffrey posted 44 assists and 19 digs. Against Arkansas Fort Smith, Northwest again forced a decisive 5th set, but couldn't quite close it out, dropping the match 15-11. Caffrey added another 50 assists and 4 aces, with Abby Bulthuis and Kate Frakes combining for 26 kills. The Bearcats now sit at 6-9 overall and 0-6 in MIAA play. For more on volleyball, our crew member Gabe Porter sits down with Abby Bulthuis.
Northwest Missouri State Volleyball continues the MIAA road stretch, preparing to face Missouri Western as well as the Newman Jets in upcoming matches. The Bearcats are currently 6-7 on the season and 0-4 in conference play. I sat down with Abby Bulthuis to discuss the team's approach and her game plan going forward.
We have all the skills that we need to be able to compete and even beat these teams, and I think we know that, but just controlling our side as much as we can is really big, and then just going out there and trying to outwork the other teams because we know we can do that too.
Like water off a duck's back, Bulthuis is trying to focus on what she can control as she asserts herself as more of a leader on the team.
This year, with another year of experience under my belt, I think that's really big in practice and in games. I'm just more comfortable on the court with my teammates and with myself as a player. So, especially with our big freshman class coming in, I feel like I'm developing myself as a leader as well as being a presence on the court.
The Bearcats prepare to take on two unfaced MIAA opponents. Bulthuis talks strategy and how they can break a 5-game loss streak and come out on top.
Definitely not the start to the season that we wanted, but I think the biggest thing for us is our coaches always tell us that we want to peak at the end of the season. So just remembering that and knowing that we have a lot of season left is really big for us, and just continuing to stay gritty and get better every single day is what's going to set us apart and help us peak at the end of the season.
While the team looks on to improve their record with MIAA games on the way, Abby looks to continue improvement in her own game. Ranked second on the team with 97 kills and scoring 110 points, Bulthuis walks through a practice for her going forward.
Continuing to develop more shots that I can do in the games has been really big. Getting those extra reps and leaning on the other people in my position has been really big too, because we all just want each other to develop the most that we can. So in practice, we're always looking for open shots and giving each other pointers. So I think that, and then also just making my presence known on the court by being a vocal leader and an energy leader will definitely help me too.
Despite already being a leader and a prominent figure on the team, she continues to look up to senior outside hitter Cassidy Mowinkle.
Last year we had some other 5th years and seniors in my position, so I think those were kind of my leaders last year. But then this year, with Cassidy being such a dominant person on the court, she's definitely somebody that I look up to and continue to learn from, and I just love hearing her input on what I can do better on the court and even off the court, like in the weight room and stuff, and we're locker buddies next to each other, so that's really awesome.
Thanks, Gabe. The Northwest Missouri State football team remained undefeated in MIAA play with a 49-32 road win over Central Missouri, improving to 5-1. After falling behind 14-0 early, the Bearcats stormed back behind quarterback Zachariah Owens, who had a stellar day. The redshirt freshman accounted for 6 total touchdowns, with 4 coming on the ground and 2 through the air. Northwest totaled 501 yards on the day, including 358 rushing yards. Senior wide receiver Luke Matthews led the aerial attack with 2 receiving touchdowns and 108 receiving yards, which is the second time in his career that he's recorded 100-plus yards in a game. The defense forced multiple turnovers throughout this game, with Carter Edwards tallying 15 tackles and a forced fumble. This win marks Northwest's 5th straight and gives them sole possession of first place in the MIAA. They return home to face Fort Hays State on October 18th. And when we come back, Jackson Phelps and Jaden Varner will pinch hit for Olivia and Wiley and bring us some more of that football team in another edition of Weekend Sports Report. We'll be right back.
For over 100 years, the Northwest Missourian has been the cornerstone of campus life and the greater Maryville community, covering topics that have shaped our society and capturing the history of Northwest Missouri's life. The award-winning publication continues to act as a primary source of topical news, spanning several generations of college students. The Northwest Missourian, covering campus and community.
Like the old saying goes,
out with the old, in with the new.
New Game Plus, your new place for everything video game
and tech related. With new wacky shenanigans
and new packs from your new crew.
So get ready, we're skipping the tutorial with this one.
So watch New Game Plus right here,
Tuesdays at noon on KNWT.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Report. I'm your host, Jaden Varner, and this is Jackson Phelps, and we're pinch hitting for Olivia and Wiley. Let's get right into it. Cue the intro. Jackson, obviously you were on the sideline for the big win against UCM. What was that atmosphere like down there on the field?
You know, honestly, Jaden, this Bearcat team feels a lot different. The energy has been up the last couple of weeks, and walking into this game, this is the second week in a row the Bearcats have had to fight for that top spot in the MIAA. So obviously, and there were a couple more motives to this game as well. Rich Wright being on the other side, former Bearcat head coach. Obviously, there was a lot of tension in the air, but if there's one thing that I've learned about this team is that they are calm under pressure. They're well at blocking out the noise, and they like to have some fun, Jaden. That sideline was so fun to be on, watching them score so many points on touchdowns, watching guys get plays who haven't the last couple of weeks. It was definitely a fun game to be around, and the atmosphere was so cool. Bearcat faithful were there as well. Good showing of green. It's always great to be on an away game and be able to look back and see Bearcat faithful cheering with you, but the sideline, man, the atmosphere was incredible. Week in and week out. I mean, this isn't new. I mean, this is a team that's been doing this for weeks, and it was so fun to be there today for a big win over UCM.
So obviously Zechariah had 6 total touchdowns. BCU sweetheart Luke Matthews had over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, and frankly, it was a great offensive performance back-to-back weeks.
It was, another game where the Bearcats put up over 500 yards. This one at 501, so they just got above that 500 mark, but it really showed, how they are a difference from any other team in the MIAA. They can get it done both on the defense, but then they can go out and score on the offense. That's something that we have been begging to see out of Northwest for years. The defense has always been there. We were just waiting on the offense to get here, and I finally feel like that offense is finally starting to become a more prominent part of this Northwest team. When you get a #1 rushing team in the MIAA to come out and put up 358 yards rushing from the help of Zechariah as well. You mentioned 6 total touchdowns. He had 124 yards on the ground, and 4 of those 6 came from on the ground. He's such a difference maker. He's a dual threat guy. Something that other Bearcat fans that I've heard from and being able to talk to them saying, we have been waiting so long to be able to have that dual threat guy. A lot of guys like to compare him to Lamar Jackson. He just loves to kind of sit back in the pocket, allow for space to create. He can either dump it off because he's a good thrower as well, obviously with the 2 passing touchdowns, but he's so good at being patient, letting his offensive line kind of develop some of those holes, and he can take off and just step up and gain 12, 13 yards. And he really does a good job of staying in front of the chains. And something, to mention as well for Zechariah, he stepped up in a tough thing today. Down 14-0, they asked him to step up, and he made the game for himself today, and he was a big part of the win taken from Northwest.
Yeah, he had a 44-yard touchdown run, which electric. Of course, they spotted the Mules, 14 points to get begin, and then went on 21-point scores, and it was a great performance. And then you mentioned the defense. Carter Edwards was an animal yesterday. He had, 2 total sacks, and they had 2 fumble recoveries for the defense out there, and they have been one of the top defenses in the MIAA this season.
To mention that, the top defense in the MIAA, both in rushing and scoring. I mean, they are so electric in getting it done. That's what we said. That Northwest defense has not changed with Coach Bostwick. He has had a rock-solid plan walking in. Rich Wright was the guy the last couple of years. Now it's his turn to finally step up and become that, the defensive guy here at Northwest, and he has not fallen short of greatness this year as well. Carter Edwards, to mention, 15 total tackles today, 1 sack, and he did have that forced fumble, which was a big difference maker in that third quarter yesterday. I mean, a big pivotal change from Northwest, and Carter Edwards has been that leader and that guy on the defense to kind of step up and make those plays, and he is so fun to watch. He's a big football guy. He's a big I'm going to be right in your face linebacker. Really fun guy to watch.
Yeah, and Jordan Pegram on that defensive line is fantastic. And obviously, as we head into the Fort Hays State game, you got a chance this week to actually break that down. So let's go ahead and take a look now at this week's Bearcat Breakdown.
Welcome back to another week of Bearcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Jackson Phelps, and this week we're going to be taking a look into the Bearcats' next matchup in football against Fort Hays State. Last year, the Bearcats got the best of the Tigers at home, winning 32-20. It was their first win after dropping the first 2. The Bearcats are back at home this week, looking for back-to-back home wins over Fort Hays. The Tigers are led on offense by junior quarterback Caleb Hevner, and through his first 6+ weeks, he has thrown for over 1,000 yards and 7+ touchdowns and 2 touchdowns on the ground. On the receiving end, it's senior Ryan Allen leading the squad with 200+ receiving yards, and right behind him is senior Ethan Hilleman with 160+ yards. The Bearcat offense has been on fire and have been led by senior quarterback Chris Runke, where he has shined in the Bearcats' upset win 2 weeks ago against UCO, throwing for 192 yards and 2 touchdowns, and led the team in rushing with 58 yards, and 54 of those coming off his longest career rushing touchdown. The Cats have been airing the ball out more, and transfer junior Erwin Nash leads the team with 200-plus yards receiving and 2+ touchdowns. The Tigers' defense ranks 5th in the MIAA in total yards and have been led by senior linebacker John Johnson, who leads the team in tackles, tackles for loss, and has been named a MIAA Defensive Player of the Week twice this season. The Tigers' secondary has been led by Michael Chavez, where he is 2nd on the team in tackles and is tied for 1st on the team in interceptions with 2. He also nabbed a MIAA Defensive Player of the Week in Week 6. The Bearcat defense has been strong as ever, still manning the top defense in the MIAA. Senior linebacker Carter Edwards has been a leader on the defense as he leads the team in tackles with 30+, as well with 4+ tackles for loss and an interception. Edwards' partner in crime in senior Parker Bowen has also been a key player on the defense as he has 25+ tackles and 1.5+ tackles for loss and nabbed his 2nd interception of the season 2 weeks ago against UCO. This will be the 3rd home game for the Cats and look to stay undefeated at home this season. The Bearcats have a great opportunity to open the offense once again on a Tigers team that hasn't really found their groove. I'm taking Northwest to take this game against Fort Hays just in the fact that I think the Bearcats have found their style coaching-wise with Coach Mack and is working to their advantage to dominate the last 2 home games. I've been your host, Jackson Phelps, and this has been your Bearcat Breakdown. Welcome back to Weekend Sports Report. We're going to take a shift to Ray's Plays. I'm Jackson Phelps. I'm filling in for Wiley Ray, Mr. Jaden Varner filling in for Olivia Wallace, as we are going to take out 3 of the most impactful plays throughout this football season. And Jaden, we got a good bunch of plays to look at.
And we do in the first one, the Jordan Pegram sack. It's a great play. So let's go ahead and take a look at it here. As boom, he's rolling back, looking to pass, and bam, Jordan Pegram right there along with a bunch of Bearcats. And Jackson, this is a great play for a lot of reasons.
It is. Let's take a pause. We'll let it play actually one more time. Jordan Pegram, one of the most tenacious. Let's take a pause here. Actually, we're going to look at right here. Jordan Pegram was able to blow by the offensive lineman. Right here, I like to look at the feet. The feet of the offensive lineman, we can see that he's on the balls of his feet. And that's a problem because as an offensive lineman, you want to stay on the back so you can stay in front of your defender. Now, Pegram possesses an amazing amount of speed to be able to get around. And we didn't get to see it here, but that left shoulder right there by the offensive lineman, Pegram did a great job by kind of pushing and swimming over, which is how he was able to get over to the left, which freed up that space, and he was able to get to the quarterback. To mention Zyler Sabat-Robinson right here, he was ready to get the sack as well. So that defensive line, the way it's been controlling games throughout this season, it really comes into play here looking at how Pegram was able to control this sack.
Yeah, and the defensive line, and Chad Bostwick has done a great job with this defense. He was from the old regime of Fritz Wright, and they've been playing great. One of the top, like we mentioned earlier, top defense in the MIAA. And, I mean, they have done a phenomenal job as we just let this one continue to play out again, and just, again, a fantastic stop there.
It really is. I love watching this defensive line go to work every week in and week out, and Pegram has been that guy to kind of being kind of a younger leader for this team, as we're going to get a look at play number 2, Jaden.
Yeah, Ben Inus, a big tackle here against Moso, and this was another big game against Missouri Southern, and This was a closer game than a lot of people had imagined, but it was still a big learning point for this defense. As we take a quick stop here, as you can see that, again, Zigmont comes around on that edge and he gets that nice contained, but right here, Inus is right about in this area here, and then Zigmont, what we didn't see before is that he has outside contain out here, so he has everything out here. Yep. Now what he could have done is flowed in with Inus in here, but he did. He kept outside contained because if Inus doesn't get this tackle, then he can bounce it back outside. And we're probably talking about a 10, 15-yard gain, if not more. And Jackson, I mean, again, a big thing with the discipline of this defense. I know it's hard sometimes to want to keep that outside contained, but Zigmont did it great. And a great play by Inus here. I mean, it's just fantastic.
It really is. I mean, this is the kind of embodiment that the defense wants to bring here at Northwest. Everyone giving 100% on every single play. I've talked to both Ben and Holden on their leadership and how they bring their self to games, and they said they want to bring it all, and this really embodies that on this play. Holden, just week in and week out, has been flying to the ball. I mean, he's out here kind of in that cloud spot where the corner sits. He jumps it, so he's ready to go. I like that you mentioned that. As well as Mike Harrison here, one of the new corners here at Northwest. He kind of sits himself in kind of that zone coverage kind of in the middle part of this field, but he kind of crashes down. You can see on many defensive plays here at Northwest where everyone crashes to that ball. And as well, Parker Bowen actually comes from the other side of the field and rushes to the back to bring Tillman Martin down with Ben Innes. But this defense has been so fun to watch as we'll let this play out one more time so you guys can watch it as well. But so you see Zygmunt's there. Ben Innes, I love the way he just jumped out of that tight end block and he made a great play. As we take a transition to our third play, which is one of my favorite plays, is a passing touchdown to Erwin Nash from Mr. Chris Runke against the most recent home game against UCO. I want to take a quick pause right here. So as we can see, this is a great pause moment right here to take a look at UCO's corner. I actually got to talk to Chris about this play after this game. I said, what were you looking at on that Erwin touchdown? He said, I was waiting to see if that safety would bite on that double move. And as we see, his hips were completely turned towards Runke because what do we see? Green grass. Runke wants to probably step up, so he's kind of waiting to see if he will so he can crash down. But the hips were already towards Runke, and he was waiting right here. Mr. Erwin Nash, he was ready to go. Erwin Nash hit him with the double move, and as you see, he was sitting on that right foot. He needed to be on that left, and so he didn't have any time to fully turn back around, and that's why Erwin Nash was able to get behind him. And I want to give credit as you guys watch this throw from Runke. A beautiful touchdown pass to Erwin Nash in the back of the end zone as we'll let this play out. Beautiful ball. Erwin Nash was right there. A great play from Runke. And when he's on, and it shows right here.
Yeah, the offense has been a huge difference from last year, and they put obviously 50 against UCM, and then they've been roaring, honestly.
Yeah, it's been such a fun season to watch, both on the offense and the defense, but we are going to take a transition out of this segment. This has been Weekend Sports Report, and we'll be back in a week. Next up, we're going to send it to Jon Rinehart as he breaks down the next week's Bearcat schedule. Take it away, Jon.
The Bearcats are continuing their road trip early next week before finally returning home to friendly territory, but they aren't out of hot water yet, with some stiff competition following the Bearcats back to the Ville. Bringing you everything you need to know that's happening next week in Bearcat Sports, I'm Jon Rinehart. Women's golf will once again get us started off early with Clara Peak and Lauren Briggs leading the team into Warrensburg to take on the Mules National Golf Course. Competition has taken a big step up this week. The host UCM are ranked number 10 in the country, and just barely missing the cut, Rogers State and Mo West will also make it tough for the Bearcats to continue their hot start to the year. Volleyball will also be in action on Tuesday in St. Joseph with a tough test on the road against the Griffins. Bearcat Volleyball showed flashes of riding the ship late last week, taking number 4 UCO to 5 sets, before ultimately falling and are now taking a Missouri Western team who recently fell out of the top 25 themselves. The focal point of this matchup will be in the middle of the court with middle hitters Emma Salker and Natalie Harrington. Harrington is making her mark early as a freshman with a team high in blocks this year, but Salker is one of the premier middle hitters in the MIAA with nearly 3.5 points per set. Salker will then return home on Friday at 3 p.m. to take on Fort Hays State. The Bearcats broke into the rankings at number 24 last week, and after dropping to Central Missouri, are looking to prove they should stay ranked. Fort Hays will be rolling into Maryville with confidence though, being 9-4-1 all-time against Northwest, but Jimena Arnau helped bring the Bearcats a little closer historically with a second-half goal in last year's 2-1 victory. Jimena will have to outplay Sydney Cotter for Fort Hays, who is having one of the hottest starts to her career and has her own hopes of keeping that going at Bearcat pitch. Northwest football will be welcoming Fort Hays State into town on Saturday and have climbed to number 18 in the D2 football rankings coming into the weekend. The Bearcats took down the Tigers last year in a very strong offensive performance, and the Bearcats are looking to continue that with the second-ranked offense in the MIAA. For either team to walk out of Maryville with a win this year, the defenses will have to control the game with the number 1 and number 4 defenses in the conference facing off, both with senior linebackers leading the way. For Fort Hays, John Johnson will try to add on to his performance this year, already being number 2 in the MIAA in tackles and top 20 in the nation, and Carter Edwards will try to stand up to a less potent but still dangerous Tigers offense and add on to his tally of tackles in his own right. Volleyball is also coming back home from their extended road trip as the Pitt State Gorillas are visiting Bearcat Arena. Both the Bearcats and the Gorillas have similar records on the season, but the Gorillas are outmatching the Bearcats in almost every metric. most noticeably in kills on the season, where Pitt State has over 100 more on the season. Northwest has had a lot of recent success against Pitt State, only losing once in their last 15 matchups, but this could prove to be one of the tougher matchups in recent history. Finishing out the week, the Lopers will make the trip from Kearney to Maryville to continue what has been an exciting series for both teams. Northwest is 4-3-5 against the Lopers since their history started, and thanks in big part to Lily Ellis, who in her last 3 games against the Lopers has allowed 0 goals. But Kearney's Billy Forrest will put Ellis to the test while feeding her teammates and leading the team in assists. For Bearcat Update, I'm Jon Rinehart, bringing you what's happening next week in Bearcat Sports.
Thanks, John. We're going to take our final break of the show, so if you like what you see, make sure to like, subscribe, and click that bell to be first to know when we post new content. When we come back, our reporter Cayden Simpson is going to bring us a Bearcat Update exclusive interview. We'll be right back.
Welcome to KZLX-LP Maryville, an independent student-run station on the campus of Northwest Missouri State University. We play non-stop top 40 hits and offer a variety of different specialty shows. So tune in to KZLX 106.7.
Hayden, I don't know how he expects us to do all of this by ourselves.
Mallory, we can do this. That's why Noah asked us to host. He knows we can do it.
I know. It's just there's like so much to do. And
Hey!
Like, hey!
I just have some last minute notes for you guys. I'll see you guys soon.
Hayden! Topics to cover?
Check.
People to interview?
Check.
Locations to visit?
Check.
And my trip to Hawaii?
That's not on my list.
I'm joking.
Watch Staying Current Wednesdays at noon.
Before we get to our last interview, we want to take a quick moment to recognize some of the recent success around all Northwest athletics. Earlier this week, Northwest became one of just 2 Division II programs to have 4 teams ranked at the same time. Keep up the great work, Bearcats. Recently, our reporter Cayden Simpson had the opportunity to talk with Defensive Coordinator Chad Bostwick about his coaching style and the Bearcats' early defensive success.
Good afternoon, Bearcats, and welcome to this week's Bearcat Update exclusive interview. I'm your host, Cayden Simpson, and I'm here with Bearcat Defensive Coordinator Chad Bostwick. Coach, how are we doing today?
Doing fantastic, thank you.
That's great to hear. All right, Coach, so how would you describe your defensive philosophy?
Defensive philosophy, good question. Our defense is designed to, number one, stop the run, and then try to get the opposing offense into passing situations. Ideally like to let our front four get rushed, get the third down situations where, I could be a little bit more multiple with what we're calling, wreck the decision maker, we like to say. So that's just a big part of our process.
And how do you build that confidence within those players to, make them feel that they can go out there?
Yeah, it's a lot of repetition during the practice week. It's about the process of running the plays and running the calls and just the way we practice and instilling that. We have a certain standard with which we go about our business every day. And, we put the pressure on our kids to kind of uphold that every week.
And when we talk about defense, communication is a very big part on defense,
Absolutely.
right? Making sure everybody knows what to do on every single play. And how do you teach this, and how do you make sure that this is put into their heads?
Yeah, so that's, kind of goes back to our philosophy a little bit. Our defense is designed to put a lot on our kids. Communication is huge. Without good communication, we're not going to be successful, And so a lot of it is our back end, our safeties kind of communicating what we're doing coverage-wise to our linebackers. Our linebackers communicate in front to the defensive line. And then, between each series, like in a game day, the communication of looking at the iPad to see what offenses are trying to do to us and the adjustments that we have to make and making sure our guys are in a good space to go out and execute that.
And what is one of the biggest misconceptions people have with playing great defense? What's something that somebody may not understand from the outside?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know, misconception. I think, just like some of the things we stress are just the little things, the fundamentals. I think that gets lost sometimes. And so, our coaching staff does a phenomenal job of making sure our guys are fundamentally sound and stress creating turnovers and getting the ball back to the offense. And we work on those things in practice every day. So, yeah, it's our guys know what to expect.
And if you could describe your defense in one word, what word would that be and why?
Yeah, we're tenacious. Our guys play with an edge, and they don't like to give up an inch. I think that mentality. It's not always going to work out that way, but just instilling a mentality. I think you have to play defense with an edge, otherwise you're not going to be successful. It's supposed to be physical. It's supposed to be relentless, and so I'd say tenacious.
And just the last question, as your time as a defensive coordinator, what has been, the biggest moment or, one thing that happened that kind of sticks with you throughout your career?
I think, just the last week, we had a big 4th down play. That was a 4th and 1, and I made a call I don't normally call, and our guys were like, let's do it, and they had our back, and they went out and executed, and we got the stop. I think that was pretty cool.
Thanks, Cayden. That's all the time we have for today. I've been your host, Hayden LaValle, and this has been Bearcat Update, the provider of complete coverage of Northwest sports. We're live every Sunday at 2, and you can find us on YouTube at KNWT TV. Along with Bearcat Update, you can watch KNWT's other content. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back in no time.